Hello everyone and welcome to Dutch Greybeard. This is my third video on Ki Longfellow from my vault of reading experiences. I did one on The Secret Magdalene and another on Flow Down Like Silver, two books in her Divine Feminine series. I'll put links to those videos in the description box. Today I'm revisiting my written reading experience of her novel Walks Away Woman. I read this novel in June of 2014. The author wrote the book in 2002, but it wasn't published until 2013. I started my review with saying that I will restrict myself by mainly summarizing this book because, well, the book says it all. That means, yes indeed, spoilers. As always, I will not disclose major plot points, but for those of you who do not want to know anything, now would be a good time to stop watching this video. For those of you who want to be intrigued by having some of the veils lifted from this book, please enjoy the rest of this reading experience. In this novel, a slightly overweight woman called Mrs. Peter Warner walks into the Sonoran Desert near the Mexican border. She dumps the groceries she has just bought in a trash barrel, and without looking back, she literally leaves her old life, which she herself describes as follows. Lately you're so scared and so aimless and so useless you sleep half the day and panic half the night. In between, you watch TV to ward off the evil of watching yourself. Initially, she is looking for a nice place, preferably with a good view, where she could lie down and fall asleep and never wake up again. Just like the Native Americans do when they announce, "This is a good day to die." Throughout her adventures in the desert, the background of our protagonist and her motivation become clear. The up until now nameless woman is married to Peter Warner, a marriage way past its expiration date. 2 children, a son, Peter Jr., whom she doesn't really like, and a daughter, Shelley, who has taken too many wrong turns in life. Perhaps she can learn from her mother regarding walking away from everything. Raised as an only child by a senseless mother and a weak but kind father. Attended art school but was too nice for the world to follow her own dreams. When anyone would ask her how she was doing, she would always say, "Fine." What else could you say? Who really wants to know? Who really cares? No one is fine. No one's okay. Life is one small misery after another. Life is like a sculptor. It chips away at you until all that's left is a headstone. After the first night of her escape, she decides that she's no longer Mrs. Peter Warner anymore, but Molly Ann Brock again. Her engagement ring and wedding ring are discarded and buried. At the end, be you. Only the dying part isn't working very well. If it's this difficult to die, how hard could it be to live? When it finally appears to be working due to dehydration, it starts to rain. With renewed strength, she walks on and stumbles upon an abandoned shed. This is where she meets the donkey who will accompany her for the rest of her quest. She names him Brewster or Brew. In the shed she finds food and nearby a supply of water. She also discovers a collection of pocket novels by the well-known writer of westerns, Zane Grey. This turn of events confuses her, however. The day before yesterday she wanted to die. Yesterday she wanted to live, or at least survive. Today she didn't have the first idea what she wanted. 8 days after she walked into the desert, she finds that something poisonous, a snake perhaps, must have bitten her. She comes down with high fever and almost perishes, but is saved by an old woman who suddenly shows up. It turns out she's the owner of the shed, the food, the water, and the books. Even though she takes care of Molly, she's not very kind towards the intruder. Nevertheless, Molly names her Charity. Charity wants Molly out of her dacha as soon as possible. Recovering from this test, Molly realizes she was alive, and she liked it. As the days pass, Molly Brock distances herself more and more from Mrs. Peter Warner. She's losing her overweight and conquers her fear one by one. After a good trade with charity, she finally leaves her sanctuary with Brewster and a supply of water and food. She has decided that she wants to return home, but she doesn't know where home is. After some time, she finds an abandoned copper mine. Here at the large building of the copper mine company, she meets Tom, a cowboy who also turns out to be a painter. The place is an artist colony. Tom doesn't speak much, but he does stimulate her to appreciate who she is. One of his ways of doing this is by imploring her to start to paint again, which she does. But once again she walks away, together with Brewster, of course. Next, she bumps into a statue of Wyatt Earp. It marks the boundary of a huge house where the very old Ray Keene lives with his companions. Molly is invited to stay indefinitely, and she celebrates Ray's 101st birthday. He tells her the story of his life. You ain't the only one ever walked away. He walked away from his profession as a baker and his wife at the time to become an actor. Next, he walked away from Hollywood, as far as Australia, where he exploited an opal mine and made his fortune. And now that I'm so damnable old, I reckon it's time to walk away from this life. Ray and Molly clearly understand one another, and in spite of their age difference, a remarkable love grows between them. Shortly after his 101st birthday, Ray holds true to his word and dies. Time for Molly to move on, even though she is most welcome to stay. She has other encounters. One of them is a mini-size thriller on its own, but in the end she arrives back home. It's a mess in the house, and fortunately her husband isn't in. Suddenly, realization sinks in. You're not home. This isn't home. It's never been home. It's a house. You used to sit in it. You used to watch TV in it. You used to clean it. But you never lived in it. And so she leaves again with her companion Brewster. Walks Away Woman is nothing less than a work of genius. It is the quest of a lost person in search for herself, or more accurately, it is the quest of someone who has realized what she definitely is not. This book no doubt fits in the tradition of symbolic novelists such as Hermann Hesse or Paulo Coelho. However, there is a difference. The symbolism in Walks Away Woman is never in the face of the reader. It is there for those with ears that listen and with eyes that see. Longfellow's language is crisp, sharp, funny, modern, emotional, and economical. There is not a word that is too much or that is out of place. But above all, the book is packed with wisdom and insight. Ki Longfellow is the kind of writer who reinvents herself with each new book. Walks Away Woman is nothing like her previous books with regard to style or story. It offers, however, just like her other books, a wonderful reading journey through uncharted territory. Thank you very much for watching this video. Until we meet again at Dutch Greybeard.